most of the time when we've seen 5-star plans, they've been in small markets, they've been smaller products that are like provider organizations, but we're talking in metro areas that have never seen these plans before. Some of these metro areas having multiple 5-star plans. It's a really big deal. Good morning, insurance agents of the senior market. We've got big news.
Big news.
Big news. There are rumors running wild across the entire MA industry right now about a huge increase in the number of available 5-star plans for Medicare Advantage for 2022. This is really big stuff.
Oh yeah, it really has unprecedented.
Yeah, well, and unprecedented is the word, because most of the time when we've seen 5-star plans, they've been in small markets, they've been smaller products that are like provider organizations. Like one exception will be Kaiser. Kaiser's had a lot of them. But we're talking in metro areas that have never seen these plans before. Some of these metro areas having multiple 5-star plans. It's a really big deal. And the increase in the availability of these 5-star Medicare Advantage products is being fueled a lot by changes to the CMS formula that they're using, in part due to the COVID pandemic.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. With some of those changes, we're going to see some really good stuff coming out.
Yeah, so CMS has provided more flexibility in some of the data sets that the plans are able to use, more flexibility than they've ever had before. Rob, I'd really like to talk about, how we think this is going to impact our agents. You feeling good?
Oh yeah, this is going to be a great opportunity. I mean, it's so, again, unprecedented and an opportunity that really hasn't been around with such a scale before.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so Rob, first question I want to talk about for our agents. How do you think members are going to react to 5-star plans being available in markets where they've never even seen them before? They don't even know what they are.
It's one of those interesting things because, with MA, when you're marketing it, you can't really use superlatives. So you can't say this is the best plan. But that perceived value and the star ratings is right there on every application. So from a consumer's perspective, I mean, that makes a big difference. If you see a 4 or a 5-star, people want that best rated plan.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think is going to be interesting to watch is, I don't know this for absolute certain, but I get this feel from talking to agents that a lot of times when they're at kitchen table and they're putting down kit number 1, kit number 2, kit number 3, we're going to do a needs assessment, that they're not spending a lot of time on star ratings.
No.
That it's like, okay, let's talk about what your needs are. Let's talk about what your threshold is for premium. Let's talk about benefits that are important. Go. And whether a plan is 3.5, 4, 4.5, I don't see agents really making that a huge part of the discussion. Mm-hmm. I do think, though, that agents are going to have to be aware of making sure they talk about star ratings now if they're in a market where we're seeing more of these 5-star plans become available.
All right, and it's a killer selling point when you actually do focus on it, instead of a half-star increment between, 3.5 and 4.5, yeah, you're looking at something that's, top of the charts.
Yeah. Well, tell me what you think about this. I was wondering about this last night as we were talking about maybe shooting today. Do you think agents, when they are presenting product during AEP, are they going to be more inclined to talk about 5-star rating, either because A, they think the consumer will really be interested to enroll because of the quality of the plan, or do you think brokers are going to be mentioning it because they're scared that if they don't, that someone's going to roll behind them and use the 5-star SEP, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and take their business?
Oh yeah, I mean that's definitely a point. You always have to talk about the star ratings when you're going through the applications, but taking a little bit more time to explain what it is, where those numbers come from, and that's probably a bit more education for the broker to familiarize themselves with how you get to that particular level.
Yeah, I'd like to believe that every agent that we work with goes out to their appointments, and when the new star rating flyers come out, they're indeed putting them in the kit,
cutting and replacing.
Right. I don't know in actuality if that's happening 100% of the time, but this would be one scenario in which that's going to have to be added to the sales presentation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You might be printing that one in full color.
Yeah. Well, my thought, just to kind of close up on this particular one before we move on to the next part, is I think brokers, a lot of times, even though they shouldn't be, a lot of times they're motivated by fear of somebody rolling their business. So I think that without question, in every market where the new 5-star plans are available, they're going to make sure that they at least present that product, so that they have less concern that someone else is going to roll behind them. Say, how did your agent not offer you this 5-star plan? CMS hasn't given it the highest quality rating. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's definitely something to keep in the back of your head if you're a broker out there. I mean, it's an opportunity for someone else to come around behind.
Yeah. All right. So let me toss this one to you. Here's a question. Do you think the availability of 5-star plans in a much wider range than we've ever seen before, do you think it's going to have more of an impact on AEP or on lock-in?
I think we have a much greater opportunity over lock-in with, changes to plans that are coming along. I think it will have an impact in AEP, but I think that lock-in opportunity is really where we could see a lot of growth in those.
Yeah. I've tossed this back and forth. This is a this or that for me. During AEP, you don't need the 5-star SEP to enroll people. So, obviously it doesn't impact the enrollment process as much. During lock-in, you've still got to get in touch with people. And I think the question that I would pose is, if someone is in a market, where there traditionally has not been 5-star product, that consumer may not have any understanding of the fact that they can enroll in April. Because if they don't have an SEP and it's past the open enrollment period, are they going to see a marketing piece and realize, oh, I can use this right now if I want to switch? There may not be a lot of consumer awareness there. During AEP, you've got all these people who are shopping, and the 5-star element can just be added into that. I'm just wondering if there will be an awareness issue, or how long it'll take to build that awareness in markets where the products traditionally haven't been present.
And I think with a lot of this too, as far as 5-star rating, it's coming on to, plans that are already in existence. Yeah. So it's, it's an evolution of that product getting better and better over time with their, member enrollments, things like that. So we might not see that a big a kick because those plans are obviously good, right? Because they're getting the 5-star rating. So they're probably already selling. But when we have the opportunities, throughout, I think it's where I think lock-in we'll see a little bit more significant of a kick there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a toss-up for me, but certainly the impact is going to be felt for the next 12 plus months. That's for certain. So let's talk a little bit about the 5-star SEP. Okay. Because there's a lot of agents, if you've never had a 5-star plan in your market, you may not know exactly how this works. So let's talk real quick about the 3 key items to remember on the SEP for 5-star plans. So item number 1, very important. This SEP can be used between 12/8 and November 30th.
Right.
So that's the first item on it. And I wonder how many agents are going to submit apps during AEP using this 5-star SEP when they don't need to do it. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I might have just a little confusion on which enrollment period to use. And that's one of those things that comes along pretty often.
Yeah. So if you end up being in a market where one of these new 5-star products is available, keep in mind during AEP, just use AEP. If you set it in with the 5-star SEP as an enrollment period, because it's going to get kicked back to you. So make sure that you're only using that once we get to 12/8.
Yeah. All right. Use the right enrollment period because it saves you time. Don't have to submit that again.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's something that nobody wants. So number 2, key item on the 5-star SEP is you can only use it one time. That's it. It's not like, the old school dual eligible SEP that you could use every single month. It's not like AEP where it's like the last one in. It is a one-time use it or lose it throughout the course of the year.
Right, and you need to enroll into that specific plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So the third item, and I think this is really important for agents to understand, it doesn't matter where your consumer is coming from. It doesn't matter whether they've got an MAPD right now, whether they're on an MA-only product, whether they've got original Medicare and a PDP. Heck, they could be rolling around original Medicare, Medicaid, no drug plan, no nothing. Wherever they are, if they use that 5-star SEP to move into one of these MA products, they're moving.
Right, and I think that'll be the biggest differentiator during the open enrollment period, following annual election period, is you can with the OEP, you can really only move from the MA plans to a similar plan. This is much more versatile.
Yeah. And I think what also be interesting is, we don't get a lot of these calls, but we get enough of them where, we'll get a call April, May, July, August, where something happened to somebody and they weren't paying attention, and all of a sudden they're rolling out without drug coverage.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do I do? And a lot of times that answer is, wait for AEP. Yeah. But if they're in a market where one of these new 5-star plans, I don't want to say the plans are new, but the plans have received a 5-star designation, they could use that to immediately get drug coverage through an MAPD product.
Yeah, it really gives someone a fix for a problem that might have happened throughout the year for any reason or another.
Yeah. Well, one thing that also is interesting to note, we're hearing rumors that there could be a couple markets where there's 2 or more 5-star products available. In that scenario, think about this. So during AEP, let's say you talk to your client Laverne and you enroll Laverne into 5-star product number 1, okay? And then I meet up with Laverne in May and I can use the 5-star SEP to move Laverne into a different 5-star product in that market.
Oh yeah, and I feel like that's the part of this that really seems, to me to be unprecedented, where if you have head-to-head 5-star plans, that's incredible.
Well, I can't remember a scenario where that was the case. But, if some of these rumors that are true, and we won't know for certain until October 7th, like that's when the official information is released from CMS. But if the rumors we're hearing are true, there could be multiple markets where there are multiple 5-star plans available. And that's why I wanted to look that up. Like, if you're already on a 5-star plan, that you got maybe through AEP, or heck, you even got it in OEP.
Right.
Can use the 5-star SEP, and it doesn't matter where you're coming from. You've got one time to use that through the course of the year if you're moving into a product that's received a 5-star designation.
Right. And at the end of the day, all this really benefits the consumers because they can make the best choice. They can understand if they do, if they could try things out and experiment with some of these plans and give them the opportunity maybe to shop around a little bit more.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's a wonderful thing for consumers and as well provides a lot of opportunity for our agents.
Right.
So that's really good stuff. So if you thought the AEP was going to be crazy, it just got crazier. It just happened. So we will be giving more information to you about some of these new 5-star products when the information becomes official on October 7th. We'll have that for you, but really appreciate you joining us today. We will be back with you on Friday, October 1st, start of AEP.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep, we'll be back with you then. This has been Rob. I'm Bill, and this has been Near and Far. We'll see you on Friday.